Once a month, when the moon reaches its highest point in the sky and the wild creatures call out to the night, he emerges from a private sanctuary in an undisclosed location outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. Arrayed in his priestly vestments, carrying forth the good news that comic books and graphic novels aren't just for kids, that they aren't just mass and spandex superheroes, that storytelling in a graphic format can be so much more. He is the graphic novel apostle.
Hello and welcome back to the Graphic Novel Apostle podcast. I'm your host, Mark Orenberger. I'm so happy to be back here with you, as always, this time on a Tuesday, December the 24th, so it's Christmas Eve, or who knows, maybe by the time you're hearing this, it's Christmas or even the day after. Either way, I hope that you are having a wonderful holiday season so far. I hope that you're getting a little break from work or school or whatever it is that you do day to day. I hope that you're enjoying some time with your family, with friends, with your loved ones. And if you celebrate Christmas, I hope Santa Claus is good to you. So last week, I took a week off from recording, had a little bye week. I said a couple of months back that we were going to start doing that, taking 1 week or so off a month. But of course, the very first month that our bye week came around, we released a bonus episode. Well, this time it was nice just to have a week off. But I gotta say, I missed having a podcast out there. I missed hearing back from you guys. And I'm glad to be back with one right now. This week is going to be the third installment of our Batman the Long Halloween series. This is going to be the third of 13 episodes that we have in this series, one for each month from October to the following October. And to give you a little bit of a reminder, of course, you're always welcome to go back in our podcast feed and either catch up or refresh yourself a little bit on what we've talked about so far in the months of October and November, where we covered respectively issues 1 and 2 of Batman the Long Halloween. That series had come out in 1996. It was written by Jeph Loeb with art by Tim Sale and, of course, released by DC Comics. And so with this third installment, Batman, Captain Jim Gordon, and District Attorney Harvey Dent continue their investigation and their pursuit of the serial killer that the newspapers, by now in this third issue, have come to dub as Holiday. That being, of course, because this killer strikes once a month on the major holiday that comes around in the course of that month. And so, in the spirit of Agatha Christie and the great storytellers of old, we have Murder for Christmas this year. As a quick reminder, last month, in issue 2, we found Batman and Captain Gordon in the Gotham City Police Department interrogating a gang of small-time criminals called the Irish about the bombing of the home of District Attorney Harvey Dent. Now, one of the things we learned in that issue was that Harvey Dent had not, in fact, been killed in that bombing, and he used the belief that he had been killed as an opportunity to go undercover and infiltrate the gang, the Irish, and try and bring out some additional information, hoping ultimately to tie that bombing back to Gotham's #1 most wanted criminal, Carmine the Roman Falcone. One of the most curious things that happened in the course of that issue was that each of the members of the gang, the Irish, were quick to admit to their role in the bombing of Harvey Dent's house, and as you may recall, each one in turn even offered to put their confession in writing, while also denying that the bombing had anything to do with Carmine Falcone. Then, in the final pages of that episode, we saw the Irish get bailed out of jail and then go to have a nice holiday dinner where they raise a glass in toast to the founder of the feast, Carmine the Roman Falcone, only to have a door quietly open and for each of the members of the gang to be shot down by our unseen holiday killer on Thanksgiving evening. Well, as we pick up in issue 3, we have a new character come on stage for the first time in this series. None other than the Joker, Batman's greatest foe and usually the source of most of Gotham City's problems. We learn that up to this point in our story, the Joker has actually been locked away in Arkham Asylum. But he had heard about the holiday killings and he couldn't stand the idea of another killer taking all the attention for themselves. And so the Joker was driven to break himself out of prison and go on a crime spree. But not just so that he could get back into the world of committing crimes, but rather so that he could solve this mystery for himself, to find and eliminate his competition, the holiday killer. Right when he gets out of Arkham, he immediately finds himself, though, in the holiday spirit. He dons a Christmas hat, he starts singing some Christmas carols, and he commits his crimes while reciting lines from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas or The Night Before Christmas. And I'll put up on our Instagram account, @GraphicNovelApostle, one of these pages that's just really fun, showing the Joker just merrily going about his way, tying up this family and stealing all of their Christmas decorations as if he were the Grinch. And singing to himself as he marches out in broad daylight back to the street and his lavish purple car. Having made the connection between these killings and where they fall on the calendar with the holidays, Captain Gordon and Batman have an expert witness of sorts that they want to consult. They're going to pay a visit to Arkham Asylum, to the cell of one of Gotham City's colorful characters, the Calendar Man. Unfortunately for Gordon and Batman, the Calendar Man is not in his right mind, and he's not in a place where he can really do anything except laugh and chuckle about all the different holidays that are coming up and how, in the month of February, just a few months off, there will be multiple holidays. Washington's birthday, Lincoln's birthday, President's Day. And we have this phenomenal splash page that shows a high-angle view looking down into Calendar Man's cell, where he has the floor littered in nothing but days that have been torn off of a daily calendar. You couldn't even walk without stepping on the papers. Frustrated, Batman realizes that Calendar Man is not going to be of any help to them whatsoever. Well, meanwhile, the Joker has begun his investigation to figure out who the holiday killer might be. Something that I love about Gotham City as a setting for all of these great Batman stories, and something that's very well illustrated here in this story as well, is how those great, colorful, costumed villains operate in the same world as just regular underworld mob-type villains. Of course, you have characters like the Penguin, who seem to operate back and forth in both worlds, and then you have characters like Carmine Falcone and Salvatore Maroni, who really just want to run a regular underworld criminal operation without having all of these wild characters always causing such chaos in their city. Well, the first stop on the Joker's hunt is going to be at the restaurant that's owned by Salvatore Maroni. It's evening and the restaurant is closed, but Maroni and one of his henchmen are having dinner in a private booth and talking about their plans to infiltrate the district attorney's office. Well, right in the middle of this, the henchman just starts laughing, like cackling, and gets this giant smile on his face. Now, anyone who's familiar with the world of Batman will instantly recognize this as somebody who has become under the influence of a toxin or a poison or a laughing gas of some kind from the Joker. And this henchman's cackling ends up with him making that giant smile and then just falling face down in his plate of pasta. And then who should come by but the waiter, the Joker himself. The Joker immediately accuses Maroni of being the holiday killer. Now, this makes good logical sense. All of the people so far who have been killed by this killer, as best we can tell, are people associated with Carmine Falcone. Carmine Falcone being the big number one underworld boss of Gotham, and Maroni being number two. Wouldn't he have the greatest interest in bumping off his competition? And if he could turn suspicion away from himself by making it look like one of the wilder costume-type villains in Gotham City was really the culprit, then all the better for him. But Maroni insists to the Joker that this holiday killing is just bad for business. It might be something that could help him marginally with his competition with the Roman, but in reality, the bigger issue for him is that these killings just stand in the way of doing business as usual, and so they're costing him money. Apparently satisfied, at least for now, that Maroni might be on the up and up, the Joker goes on to his next stop. We see in a new scene District Attorney Harvey Dent leading his wife, who is in a wheelchair having just gotten out of the hospital after that terrible explosion at the end of issue 1, wearing a blindfold, up to the front door of a new home that he's purchased for the family. Dent takes the blindfold off of his wife, Gilda, and shows this home to her, and she's so excited that she jumps up out of her chair. Now, folks, I'm going to take just a little aside for a second. We have one panel here where, having leapt out of the chair, Harvey says to Gilda, "Whoa, slow down, honey. The doctors want you to take it easy. You really shouldn't be out of that chair." And Gilda responds, "Doctors, what do they know?" Friends, maybe this is where we started to go wrong as a society. Maybe Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale are the reasons why people are questioning medicine today. I don't know. I don't guess we can probably lay that at their feet, but it did strike me as funny when I saw that one panel. And by the way, of course, I'll put a copy of that panel up on our Instagram as well. But in a very happy moment, Harvey Dent and Gilda go into their new home. Gilda heads up the stairs to start exploring the house. And meanwhile, Dent notices footsteps in the living room. He follows them, only to find the Joker waiting in the shadows to attack him. After a brief scuffle, a bit of a fist fight, the Joker accuses Dent of being the holiday killer. and tells Dent that this town ain't big enough for 2 homicidal maniacs. Dent, of course, denies being the killer and screams at the Joker to get out of his house. Well, the Joker leaves because he has another visit to pay, this time to the private apartment of Carmine the Roman Falcone, who is asleep in his bed. The Joker comes in through the window, makes a cut in Falcone's neck, draws a little bit of blood, and whispers into the ear of a Falcone who seems to be pretending to be asleep still, that Falcone better find Holiday and shut this person down, or else the Joker is going to go on and kill everyone in Gotham City until he gets what he's looking for. On his way out of the apartment building, the Joker kills a couple of Falcone's bodyguards, and then, after the Joker exits the building and walks out onto the front steps, the door opens behind him, and Falcone's personal bodyguard, Milos, sticks his head out and points a gun at the Joker. The Joker throws a handful of Joker playing cards and runs off into the night. And immediately following the Joker's departure, Milos stoops down and starts to collect up all of those Joker cards to clean up the front steps. While he does, our art goes back into black and white, and once again, we see a hand holding a gun with tape around the barrel and a baby bottle nipple covering the muzzle, and we see a shot, and Milos goes down. We see this same hand then reach out and place something on the steps, and in our final black and white page of the issue, we see Milos' dead body there on the snow, Joker cards all around him, blood coming out from underneath him, and in color, we see a snow globe reflecting the Christmas killing at the hands of Holiday. As the issue ends, Batman comes along behind and discovers Milos' body there on the steps and finds those Joker playing cards. He seems to assume at this point that Joker is the one behind this killing. But surely Batman realizes that Joker was in Arkham Asylum during the first of these killings. Well, either way, we're 3 months into our investigation now. We're no closer to knowing the identity of the killer. I should say this, though. Our killer is very plainly a man. The hand that we see holding that gun in each issue so far appears to be a man's hand, and it has some hair around the knuckles and on the wrists and things that would lead you to believe it's a man. But that seems to be really all we know at this point about who our killer is. Well, we'll come back in January for our New Year's killing. I'm looking forward to it. I have had a ton of fun doing these episodes covering Batman The Long Halloween. It's such a cool series. Each issue is an easy and quick read, and I don't know, it's been just kind of fun to break down the story step by step like this. I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. If you're traveling someplace for the holidays after you've listened to this episode, I highly recommend that you check out one of our book club episodes. And I have gone back and retitled all of our episodes so that the ones where I have a guest on and we go through a full graphic novel together, they have all been labeled as book club episodes. Check one of those out. I hope you enjoy it. Also, it is the Christmas season, and if you're feeling charitable here around the holidays, how about doing something for your graphic novel apostle? I'd love to see some of those 5-star reviews. I'd love to see you find an episode that you like and share it with a friend of yours who you think might enjoy the show as well. Or, I don't know, get creative. However you want to celebrate me in this holiday season is okay with me. I will look forward to seeing you guys back next week. I do plan to have an episode next week. It might not come out on Monday like usual. I'll be traveling a little bit and things are going to be off in the schedule with the holidays. But what I am looking forward to talking about next week is a recent effort from DC Comics called All In. Starting back in October, DC lined up all of its titles, or more or less all of its titles, so that they came to a jumping on point at the same time for new readers. Now, some of those were launched as new issue 1s, some of those had new creative teams, some of those kept on with the creative teams but just dove into a new story arc. But either way, we're going to talk a little bit about DC's All In, and maybe you'll find something there that's going to interest you to pick up one of these books and start reading. Of course, you'll just be a couple of issues back from the beginning of that All In standpoint. I look forward to talking about that with you. And until then, keep reading those comics.